Sifter for the ear.
News, interviews, reviews, cinema, TV, streaming. Action!
Hi y'all, this is Jerry Williams, aka TV Jerry. At this point, there are more than 210 Sifter for the Ear podcasts, and it's great to be continually finding new ways to explore film, TV, and streaming with the Virginia Connection. But I'm always looking for new ideas and or people. If you're someone or you know someone, don't hesitate to send me an email to tvjerry@gmail.com.
I have a lot of VCU kids over there, which is cool. And, you know, when I would have this shelf of VHS there, a lot of them would come in and be like, what the hell is this? And it would trip me out. I'm like, are you messing with me? And they're like, so like a movie's on this?
That was one of today's guests, Cody Denzler, talking about selling VHS tapes in his store and the reaction of some VCU students. If you were a movie fan from 1985 to 95, you probably went to a video rental store like Blockbuster to find new and old videos to watch at home. Well, there are new ones, or should I say old, and today's show will feature two that are located in downtown Richmond. Holly Wright has Rewind Video at 108 North 7th Street, and Cody Denzler, who you heard earlier, just opened Monster Video in July at 207 North 3rd Street. They'll tell us about what they rent, who their customer base is, the friendly competition, and more.
Sifter Review of the Week.
Lucky on Apple TV. Seems like every week there's another action series, but this one has two outstanding features. First, Anya Taylor-Joy in the title role, who's tough, sly, and deftly navigates the occasional well-staged pursuits. Those action scenes are the other strong aspect of the series. It begins as she and her beau, Drew Starkey, accomplish a $10 million heist, but things quickly go wrong, leaving her to outrun the FBI and his corrupt mother, Annette Bening, who's sharp as always. Ingenue Ellis Taylor, as the FBI agent, continually rises to her character's challenges, while Timothy Oliphant quietly plays the long-distance supportive father. He's in jail some of the time. The showrunner is Jonathan Tropper, who's best known for Your Friends and Neighbors, so he's accomplished in creating intriguing and unusual circumstances. While the plot is never especially surprising, at least so far, it's the chase sequences and the strong performances that provide the most enjoyment. This review is based on 4 out of 7 40-minute episodes. I gave Lucky 3.5 out of 5 stars. Holly and Cody, welcome to Sifter for the Ear. So let's rewind. Sorry for the pun there. How did y'all get into movies in the first place?
It's a tough one. I mean, honestly, just growing up, going to the video store, renting movies, I really can't pinpoint like a first sort of experience, but, you know, growing up in the 90s and whole family kind of having an outing to the video store to rent a few and just falling in love with the process, being in there, coming home, watching those, just collecting VHS tapes and action figures, then moving into DVDs. And it stuck with me my whole life.
Holly, how about you?
I feel like I've been into it since I was a child as well, on two different fronts. Just being like a fan who loved watching and renting movies, like video game trading experience as well. So I kind of got my love for video games and movies around the same time. And then I was always making movies. I was always the kid who had like a camera in her hand, making skateboarding videos when I was growing up. I went to VCU for photography and film. So I've always had such a love for film, collecting and everything. And I've been doing this for a long time.
Cody, how about you? Did you study film or any of that kind of stuff, or is it just a hobby for you? I love.
Just a hobby. Similarly, I mean, growing up in that era and Jackass being so influential, just a bunch of teenagers goofing around and filming stuff.
I watched every episode.
It was great. Doing that a lot, like Holly said, a lot of skateboard stuff. Never any good, but just filming each other and having a blast. I always envisioned going into school for film, but things panned out differently. But I love where I'm at right now, so.
Surprise guest drop in.
Interestingly, both of you talked about your formative years in the video store world, and we have a drop-in surprise guest for you today who actually used to work in those stores. Maybe he even sold you something or rented you something. Jay Levitt, who now is the owner of Deep Groove Records. Jay, welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
When were you working in video stores?
1982, 83.
Tell us about it.
It was called Video Station, and it was a small chain, probably 8 stores based out of Knoxville, Tennessee.
What was so cool about it then?
It was fresh and it was new. Well, there weren't a lot of movies shown on network television. Back in those days, you had the 3 networks, and that was
Right.
about it. If you didn't see a film in the theater, you had no way to see it.
Right.
So all of a sudden, you're able to rent a classic movie.
What was that community like? How was that like working in that kind of environment then?
Oh, I loved it because in those days we had a club. So you paid like $20 per year. You started getting to know, all these various people in the community. But you got to know from the garbage collectors to the gynecologists. And I always remember the gynecologists. We rented porn movies.
Right.
And the gynecologist in town, he was one of our biggest porn renters. Kind of ironic, but I've always remembered that.
Now, I know, Cody, you have a little nostalgia porn section, don't you?
Do little cheeky adults only area. It's a sort of thing where, I don't know, opening up a video store, I feel like I gotta have a little back room just for fun and nostalgia's sake.
Yeah. Holly, how about you?
Not at the moment. We're constantly trying to shuffle things around to maximize space, but we have amassed a bit of a collection that's ready to go for that.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm with Cody on that. It goes hand in hand. You remember that? And I remember being a kid being like, oh, what's that back room? And I'd watch maybe my older brother would go to it, and I was always curious.
So now, Jay, you run Deep Groove, which is kind of the same thing, but you obviously dealing with vinyl and that sort of thing. Well, would you say that Deep Groove is kind of like that same kind of community vibe that you had back in the day?
But very similar in that people buy records for their own enjoyment, their own pleasure. The same with renting video. People come in, they're in good mood, they're generally smiling. My goal every time is to make sure everybody's smiling when they walk out the door, happier when they walk out than when they walked in. And so it's very, very similar in that regard. I love the job. I love having the record store.
All right, good deal. Well, thanks so much for dropping in and sharing a little bit of nostalgia from the good old days.
If I could wish the 2 of them luck, I don't know how old they are or how long they've been doing this, but I will say this real quick. 18, 19 years ago when I was looking to start the record store, and I was general manager of Plan 9, when I found a spot, the landlord came to me. He said, well, what do you want to do in this space? I said, I want to start just a record store. He looks at me like, just records? Like I was crazy. You really think you could make a living doing this? I said, well, I hope so. So to both of y'all, best of luck to you. I hope it works out, and I'll come visit.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks for the inspiring words there, Jay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks,
that.
Jerry. Thanks for me to do
Bye-bye.
it.
So that's a perfect segue into the next question, which is a store. Why did each of you decide? And I think in both cases, you didn't just open a store, it evolved. But how did that process work? Holly, you want to go first?
I had always kind of just been like buying, selling, and trading amongst my friends. And back when Craigslist was a big thing and started my eBay account many years ago, I actually just recently checked my first sold item I had on eBay was in 2009. So that kind of got me my start. I was always going to conventions and things. And then I ran the tech exchange for 11 years. And then I decided to leave them, start my own company because I was already doing a bunch of markets under my RVA VHS name.
No, wait a minute. Let me interrupt you. What's the tech exchange?
It's a buy-sell trade store that's on Cary Street that does video games and electronics and also some movies and stuff. So when I left them, I fully started my own company. I also run a couple different events. And so just having the storefront seemed like the next, obvious step. And I spent almost a whole year looking for a perfect spot and finally settled on something downtown and more of the East End, just because there wasn't really much for that downtown. And then it's really cool that Cody opened up in walkable distance, because I feel like so many vintage shops you can just hit on a nice weekend walk or something.
Oh, cool. Cody, how about you? How did you decide to make the big step?
Yeah, similarly, getting into reselling at an early age, or honestly just selling collections on eBay when I was a kid. I remember eBay popping up when I was very young and just being fascinated that I could post a photo of an item and then ship it to someone. That was
magic,
just mind blowing to me. That was very impressionable. And fresh out of high school, I had a good group of friends who were into full-time eBay reselling and things like that. So I would hang out with them. Back then I was doing bunch of video games, toys. This was about 2011. doing that sort of thing. And then my brother was managing Rumors at the time when they were kind of opening up, and he was teaching me about vintage clothes. I was kind of showing some things about toys and stuff.
Footnote.
Rumors is a consignment store that buys and sells clothes and shoes.
I started doing a lot of markets for specifically like vintage clothing business, which was cut and run vintage. Had been doing that for the past few years, always had a VHS selection there and always loved it. Ever since then, I definitely loved the idea of running a video store. I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to work in one. And as I turned 18, they were all closing. So had a dream of that, was doing a few pop-ups, and since then I kind of had ear to the ground, like seeing what pops up, and if it's right, it's right, and this ended up coming into my lap, and here we are.
So let me ask you this, because I've had this discussion twice in the last week with somebody. What is it about physical media now? Why are people collecting VHS and DVDs as opposed to just backing up on their cloud or streaming? Why do y'all think this is popular again?
I think a lot of people feel like we're just being, screwed over by streaming services and rising costs of everything. And just like it's expensive to live and it's expensive to be entertained. I think people just are like itching for the urge of remembering what things used to be like. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. I mean, I'm getting high off my own supply all the time, which is dangerous running a business like this. I'll see
You got to
things
sell
come
that
through
stuff,
and
Holly. It's not supposed to stay in your house.
I know. It's too hard though. Like every day I'm hearing people saying, "Oh, I cut out my streaming services," or "Oh, I'm trying to set up a retro corner," and they'll buy a VCR, a Super Nintendo, and a stack of games and an old CRT. And it's just like, this is awesome. There's like something romantic about it, you know?
Footnote.
Holly mentioned a CRT. That stands for cathode ray tube, the old school non-digital television. Can you go in and rent a VHS tape and watch it?
No rentals at our store. I've been kicking around the idea of like how to do that, but I feel like we're kind of in like a weird time frame where some people are not as respectful of certain things. So
Right.
for example, I've got some games on my shelf that are like $200. And I've got a copy of Ringu on VHS, and like that's a $60 to $70 tape. Having to rent that, I feel like just comes with so much more risk now that we're in like a collector era of this kind of media.
Well, will you buy them back? Like if somebody...
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I always give cash offers and store credit. So oftentimes I'll have people who will buy a bunch of stuff and then trade it back for store credit, which they're always going to get more for their money.
Cody, how about you?
Well, first things first, I feel like we're an experience of like, I want people to come in, and if they leave and like purchase a tape, that's great. We want to make sales for sure, but my main goal is people to walk in and be like, damn, I haven't had this feeling in over a decade. And we're definitely experiencing that, which is a blast. I want people to be thrown back and just notice like the attention to detail to the setup. Similarly to Holly, got a couple ideas kicking around. I do want to incorporate it someday, just figuring out logistics. Also, additionally, as you talk about, Jerry, people getting into physical media, a lot of the times, one of the pinpoints is people want to own their physical media. So, not necessarily take it home and rent it, but they want to have that and watch it whenever they can. Now, of course, they could come back and rent it again, but I'm finding people don't just want to rent it and watch it for the weekend. They want to take it home and put it up on a shelf.
Back in the day when I used to go to Blockbuster and rent VHS, the VHS was talking, well, whatever, the quality's what it is. Has it been upgraded in the newer releases, or are these all old vintage VHS that are still the same kind of funky VHS quality?
So all of the VHS that we have in my store are old VHS tapes. I've had a couple of boots, but I mean, it's all on original hardware, so
Okay.
not every single movie is going to look as crispy as it once was.
And you got to be careful with the tapes too.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, almost, I would say every other week I'm having some type of a casualty where like a VCR that I've played hundreds of hours on will just decide, I'm a little hungry today. I'm going to eat this tape you just put in. There's troubleshooting and things like that all the time.
I get that all the time. Some naysayers talking about the quality and like, oh, it's the worst way to watch a movie, what have you. And also you get well, these things are degrading. And yeah, they are, but I've got some tapes that I've had forever that are still rocking. The magnetic tape strip aside, the plastic is going to outlive all of us. Yeah, we can talk about quality, but there are just certain movies that when they were filmed, when they came out, they weren't meant to be watched on 4K, high definition, these big 70-inch screens. So, I mean, I've seen some older movies on like a newer 4K release, and it just looks like not great. Aspect ratio aside, too, like all these things, there are just certain movies that have a certain warmth that you get when you put it on a VCR or even a CRT collab.
Y'all know the age for this, obviously. Do you see a certain age group that is embracing this more, or do you see it going all ages?
I'm kind of seeing everyone embracing it, but I'm seeing a lot of people that's like, millennials who are just wanting to relive their childhood. And then also a lot of my friends who have kids who are like, we want to introduce our kids to what we grew up on and the old stuff. I do notice a difference down where we are in Richmond versus the previous shop I ran, which was like right on VCU's campus, where that was like so many VCU kids. And
Sure.
now I feel like my demographic is a lot more of like 20 to 55, which is a pretty broad age range. And that's really cool.
Similarly, with my vintage clothing store being right behind VCU, I definitely have a lot of VCU kids over there, which is cool. And, when I would have this shelf of VHS there, a lot of them would come in and be like, what the hell is this? And it would trip me out. I'm like, are you messing with me? And they're like, so like a movie's on this? Like, you have to be messing with me because like you've at least seen this thing, even if you didn't grow up going to it, you have to know. But
You're right. Movies where people put VHS in a VHS player. So yeah, they've
yeah.
seen.
And yeah, I mean, similar age bracket, I'd say more like 30 to 45. A lot of people my age and a little bit older with kids coming in, letting their kids experience it. Yeah, it's just a nice little age bracket of nostalgia for everyone.
It's interesting you mentioned that about the not knowing what a VHS tape. We were in New York in May, and we're coming out of the Chelsea Hotel where we stayed, and the young doorman was probably 22, 23. He said, "What are y'all seeing tonight?" And we said, "We're going to go see that new Rocky Horror." And he said, "What's that?"
Oh,
Yeah.
So, it's funny how that things we think like VHS, we think everybody knows because it's part of our cultures. But that was what, the 80s and the 70s, 80s. So, yeah, it's almost 50 years ago.
Yeah.
as someone who has been on a Rocky Horror Shadowcast for over a decade at this point, that hurts my soul.
Oh, I'm sure. It blew my mind, believe me. And there was this guy sitting next to him who didn't know what it was either. He was 20 something. So there you go.
Oh,
So I know y'all don't just sell VHS and DVD, and you mentioned toys and some other all kind of stuff. What would you say each of you is kind of the most unusual, weirdest, or fun thing that you have for sale or have sold?
I got a really weird Tamagotchi trade in. So those digital pets that came out in like 1990, I think they came out in 97. So I had this girl come in and she was like, "Hey, do you buy Tamagotchis?" And I'm in the mindset of, I'll take a look at anything. And she was moving to Europe and had like 30 Tamagotchis, and most of them were higher end ones from Japan. There were some that she traded in that I sold for like $400, which
Wow.
just kind of blew my mind for like
Yeah.
these tiny digital pets. And it was fun to learn about a whole other new fandom that I was not very keen on.
Cody?
I feel like most of my bizarre sells I leave to eBay. It'll be a price range that I couldn't really put on a tag in either store and people really understand. I mean, when you've been reselling for a while, I'm sure Holly can relate. Your eye just catches certain things, and even if you don't know anything about it, it's a sort of like, let me look this up or have a good feeling about this. And that's happened a few times. I think one of my biggest was finding a collection of jock straps in a random thrift store in North Carolina for about a quarter a pop, and I know there's a good market for those. So I grabbed those up, and some of them I put out in the store and have done pretty well. And some of them have been doing all right on eBay.
And jock straps. Did you at least wash those jock straps before you sold them?
We'll let the listeners decide. No, of course I watched everything.
Well, you never know. It might be why they wanted them, to have this
That's
funkiness too.
the value is going to go up for that for sure.
Is there like jockstrap patina?
Yeah, the little
Love
patina,
it.
exactly. So it's interesting because one of you's on 3rd Street, one of you on 7th Street downtown, and you're so close together. You mentioned that earlier. You think there's enough business for both of you? Do you think you should merge at some point, or is that a dirty word?
I
I
think
think
there's
there's
enough business for
definitely.
both of us. I feel like there's space for everyone, and I'm always open to collabing with other businesses. So we've talked in the past about, getting on each other's events before, and I think it's super fun when people come in to my store and they'll come in carrying a tape and be like, "Oh, I got this from Monster Video." Or they're here and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to go over to Monster Video." And I kind of tell everyone like, "Hey, if you're doing a little vintage tour, like here's all the spots you should go."
I mean, again, it's just been a little over a week, but I've definitely had people come in and be like, "Man, do you have like Ferris Bueller?" Yeah, I've had like 5 copies, but they just keep getting grabbed. Holly's probably got one up the street. I mean, like things like that, common titles that you see a lot where it's like, yeah, like they probably have it over there. Like, and I think it's a great way of just like hitting 2 stores that are close together to see what they have and maybe find something new.
You've got the DVDs and the VHS. What about, and Holly, I know you mentioned, what about the hardware? What if somebody wants to find a DVD player or even a VHS player?
We tend to always have VCRs in stock and at least 1 or 2 CRTs available. And I get all the time too people complaining on the internet about the prices of CRTs or VCRs because they claim that you could just find them on the street for free. And like, yeah, every once in a while you can still find that stuff for dirt cheap places, but going into a shop that's going to have a warranty and fully test things and everything, and you don't have to go through the kerfuffle of meeting up with some Joe Schmo on Facebook Marketplace or something. So to people who come into the stores, no one's complaining about whatever the prices are, and I'm sure Cody has dealt with that as well.
We've got TVs, we've got VCRs. The VCRs are absolutely flying. I've got a death pile stack at my home about 40, 50 deep that all need testing, cleaning, the likes. But I'm bringing them in slowly but surely. VCRs, DVD players, Blu-ray players. I've got a beta player. I've got a Laserdisc player. If you've got a CED player, I'm on the lookout. But
no beta cams.
actually, I had someone drop off a Betacam 2 days ago that I need to test and see what's up. But
you got to find Betacam tape. Those must be a real challenge to find.
So we'll see. TBD.
There you go. There you go. One question I always like to ask everybody at the end, and this will be interesting to see if it's something old or something new when you're not working in the store. What have you seen lately, whether it's something in a movie in the theaters or streaming or maybe even some interesting VHS or DVD you pulled out of your own stock?
The most recent thing I watched, and I was a little late to the game on it, was Obsession. I just recently watched that, and that was really fun. Then my husband and I, we took a vacation back in June, and we were staying in a cabin, and we specifically brought our VCR and a stack of VHS tapes just to, watch a whole bunch of tapes that we've seen 100 times, but just to, have that energy again. And
did you at least pick ones that were like related to murders in cabins in the woods kind of things? Evil Dead and some of those fun ones.
I brought Dog Soldiers, Hook. So not tons of like cabiny ones, but just ones that we were like, you know what, let's just have the feel good vibes and have this on. But it was funny because we took a boat to the cabin. And so we have like a VCR just sitting on this like boat with us with all our tapes and hoping none of it's going to fly off because we didn't secure everything as well as we could have,
Yeah. Cody, how about you? What have you seen lately?
I'm always watching something. I think the beautiful thing about the video store, which is what I had envisioned for a while, is like people coming in to trade stuff. And I'm like, man, I've never heard of this. Take it home, watch it, then bring it back here to find its new home. I brought home one that had been on my watch list for a bit. I Married a Witch, like 1940s movie. That was pretty fun. And then the most recent watch was actually Cafe Flesh, which I had not seen before. Is an adult film, but very cool sci-fi dystopian art house movie. The director did another movie that I love called Dr. Caligari, which was another like 80s, not original Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, just a weird art 80s movie. But watch that one, which was also quite interesting, but a fun one.
Thank you both. It's been fascinating. It's great to hear this is still alive as somebody who visited those stores all the time and enjoyed it. Thank you both. Good luck in the future.
Thank you, Jerry.
Or from the past, should I say.
Our future past.
There you go. That was Holly Wright, who owns Rewind Video at 108 North 7th Street, and Cody Denzler, who just opened Monster Video in July at 207 North 3rd Street. I'll include their Instagram links on the webpage for the show at TV Jerry.
Coming soon. In theaters.
One night only. In a slightly different New York City, single people are only allowed to have sex one night. So Callum Turner and Monica Barbaro meet up, and you can take it from there. From Will Gluck, the writer-director of Anyone But You and Friends with Benefits. Super Troopers 3. The original gang of cops is back to deal with a new drug ring and a wedding. And if you didn't realize it, Brian Cox is a member of that troupe. Ice Cream Man. From horror director Eli Roth comes this new thriller about a summer town that descends into madness as a result of the sweet treat. Cookie Queens. More munchies, but this time it's a family comedy with 4 Girl Scouts vying to sell the most cookies. Sheep in the Box. This Japanese import is set in the near future when a couple decides to welcome a humanoid robot into their home as their son. Cat Video Fest 2026. Again this year, a compilation of the best cat videos. Blazing Saddles. The Mel Brooks classic returns for 1 week.
TV and streaming.
The Shards on FX and Hulu. Ryan Murphy and Bret Easton Ellis collaborated to develop a series from Ellis's autobiographical novel. It's set during his senior year at an exclusive Los Angeles school. Monsters of God on HBO. This documentary explores the shadowy world of exotic reptile smuggling, following 2 rival kingpins. Sterling Point on Prime. Annie and her twin brother, raised in New York by their single father, discovered that their estranged grandfather bequeathed them a lake island. Big Chicken, a fast food conspiracy on Netflix. Comedian Mo Gilligan embarks on a daring 28-day journey across the UK and US, eating only fried chicken to explore the craving and the industry fueling it. You, Me, and Tuscany on Peacock. Does any woman ever travel to Italy without falling in love? This one stars Halle Bailey, who crashes at an empty Italian villa posing as the owner's fiancée until she finds a new love. Alley Cats on Netflix. From Ricky Gervais comes this animated comedy about a group of feral British cats. The Last House on Netflix. A family is suddenly sealed inside their house with no way out, and a mysterious threat is keeping them trapped. With Greta Lee, Wagner Moura, and Sid Edwards. Ted Lasso on Apple. This new season has Jason Sudeikis returning to England after 3 years in the U.S., but he's coaching the Richmond women's team. That's it for this week. This is Jerry Williams. Thanks for listening.
For more Sister, including literally thousands of reviews,
Visit tvjerry.com.
That's a wrap.